Hello everyone and welcome to the Focal Point YouTube channel. Thanks so much for being a part of this brand launch. I am so excited. As one of the founders of Focal Point, I'm truly just so excited you're here. And this video is going to tell you literally everything about how Bex and I got to this point as co-founders, changing our careers, changing industries, breaking into a new industry, and how that really brought us to us deciding to start a business today. This journey started for us in February in 2025. Bex and I sat down and we really were not gaining anything out of our current industries. We were feeling not financially well off. We weren't feeling creatively we had any input. So we sat down and said, we are gonna give marketing a go. I definitely took a class in college where that interested in me. Bex had also come to me with that interest, and together we said, you know what, we're gonna buy some textbooks, we're gonna watch some videos online, have some study dates, and see what comes out of it. This brings me to my first tip on restarting a career or navigating a new path, which is what really interests you. And I was the kind of person that had known what I wanted to do for my whole life, and I went to school for that, and then I graduated and I was like, well, I kind of already decided what I was doing, but by talking to friends and by journaling, I was really ready to look back and be like, okay, what other classes did I like in my college curriculum, and have I read anything recently that has really grabbed my attention? And that is when the conversation really started rolling. And the brainstorm is all that it is, a brainstorm, and it can get you a lot farther than you think it will. My next tip, which I have been preaching since I was even in college, is YouTube University. Anything that you want to learn is on YouTube, and professionals are out there posting it on YouTube. If you want to learn biochemistry right now, you totally could. This is something that I was doing while I was in college, really looking at what creators were putting out there and preaching YouTube videos to anyone that asked me where I learned that or how to do that. And so it was time to revisit that and be like, okay, what are content creators putting out there? And even if you're considering a life change, career change, whatever your goal may be, it's, you know, looking at the day in the life of that person. What is their schedule like? What is their routine like? There's so much content that we can now get our hands on, so definitely use that to your advantage. Then next comes March, and March was absolutely a crazy month for me. Side note, I ran my first half marathon in March of 2025, and it was so cool. But days before running this half marathon, I found out that I could be up for my dream job in my previous career. And I had thought, oh my God, well, you know, I was gonna do this marketing thing and now I'm not anymore because I've got this dream job and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, as things work out, it wasn't for me and I did not end up getting that position. And in that moment, I was truly devastated and thought that, you know, I'm going back to my plan B and I'm trying marketing and we'll see how it goes. But that really shows that the universe is looking out for you, because if I had gotten that job and if I had worked that specific contract, I would have been so miserable, so overworked, so tired, and it would just have not been what is truly for me. So I'm so glad that it did not go that way, and it really goes to show that the universe is looking out for you in every possible way. And this month we had continued going into our marketing journey and having study dates and just really learning and building a good foundation and seeing what kind of jobs were out there. And this month is when Bex, our co-founder, introduced me to another really good friend of ours that works in marketing. And not only is she a lifelong friend that I admire so much, but also like working at one of the top agencies in the US and has given us so much wealth and knowledge and just a great person to be around as well. And so that brings me to my next tip, which is networking. Networking has always been a vital part of any industry that I have been working in. And it really, at this kind of job market especially, you are only going to get a job by knowing people, and really expanding your outside circle into a professional, big, bountiful group will get you where you need to go. A lot of people feel iffy about networking because maybe they're more introverted, or it's just not something that they have practiced or are good at. And something that I really like to lean on when I'm not feeling my most sociable self is just to ask that person questions. And it doesn't even have to be work-related questions. Ask them about their dog, ask them about their family, ask them about the trip they took last year. The more that you build that personal connection, the more they're gonna remember you based off of them having an interest in you and you showing an investment in them, and then the business coming next. Really building a person-to-person connection first is going to be vital when you are networking, and it also makes your relationships 10 times better. Everyone wants to work with someone that they have a personal relationship with, and I think that's also invaluable in a day-to-day career, is being friends with the person that you're working with. Another thing that I thought was very important during this time of a lot of tumultuous energy and not really knowing where I was going or what I was doing, what my next move was, is that do things that make you happy. I was very into exercise and running, and it really gave me a sense of accomplishment when I could hit that mile marker and I could hit a goal. And that was really what kept me going every day and what got me out of bed, even though my job was kind of like up in the air. So let's make in that journal entry, in that brainstorm, also think about the self and the mind body and what is also good for you, because a big part of having this direction to go somewhere else and to go somewhere else and be someone else is to have a clear mind as you're doing it. And anxiety can get to the best of us, and I really think that having a clear path and goals that you can tackle every day that are manageable to you and also make you happy will really trickle into everything else. So this brings us to April. In April, I had started applying for a bunch of part-time jobs, and I just needed something to keep the credit card in check and to kind of pay for everything I needed to pay. And I was really spending my time just kind of looking for a way to make money. And the job market currently, or at that time in spring of 2025, was so ruthless that, just going to a restaurant or a simple $15 job was really, really ruthless and a hard place to be. So be prepared to go the extra mile with those steps. Print out your resumes and schedule follow-up calls and texts, plan the entire day for interviews, dress to the occasion, etc. I actually ended up applying for a really random job as a personal trainer. Like I said, I had some interest in fitness. I really liked running, and I was not qualified at all. But I went into this gym. They were looking for a personal trainer. I did the interview training session, and the coaches really liked me, and they thought I brought a really good personal edge into the gym. So that is where I started and work at Body 20 Gym, and they certified me, trained me, and I got hired. And that, again, letting my loves and my passions really lead and guide me on this path of where I am supposed to be in this current time. This leads me to the next month, month 4, which is the month of May. And this month was the craziest month of my 2025. I went from not working and being super unemployed to being part-time employed and also working on the ground up of a business. I don't know if we had decided at this point that it would be a business yet, but Bex and I had decided we really wanted to start building a creative portfolio that would get us into the marketing spaces that we really wanted to be in and highlight what we already have as our skills and passions, and really use what we've learned and trial and error a lot of things. So I took 1 week and shot 5 different campaigns or ideas, photo shoots, anything, etc. And we kind of took time to plan them. Some of them were involved with my co-founder and some of them were not, and they were just something that I had the idea to do on my own. And in also that week, I was doing training for my part-time job. So it was a crazy, crazy week. The 5 projects I ended up including in my portfolio were a creative portfolio for a floral designer that also does weddings and set designers and stuff. He is one of my best friends and he could also use really good photos at the time, so we thought this was a good way to really break the ice, do something I was familiar with, but lead it into a different kind of direction. And then we decided to do social media management and content curation for a band named Lilac Wine. My co-founder Bex is a part of the band, and they really needed a big freshen up on all of their socials, their content, and really how they were booking their clients as well, since it had only been primarily word of mouth, and we really wanted to test some strategies that we had been learning. So we did a whole revamp, we did a photo shoot, we've done video shoots, and really kind of rebuilt their whole identity. Then we also worked at this company named Vesta Fitboxing. I think this was definitely one of the most valuable things that I did in my creative portfolio, and I'm actually going to be making another video called How My Mock Portfolio Got Me My First 3 Clients, and they all came from this one project that I did. We decided to go to a local business that I had really loved the brand identity of and that I had been involved with in some sort of space, and we went and kind of just pitched to them, hey, we would love to do content curation for you for free, post this on your socials, what do you think? And they ended up saying, yes, we're so down, we would love to have help with our socials. So we ended up posting all of these, and I'll go into a deep dive in my next video. The next thing I shot was a tabletop perfume ad. I really wanted to add in there different types of content or media, and doing anything tabletop spec ad I felt like really fit in with the vibe of where I was going with my company as well. And then I came up with my own campaign. I really decided to go out there and try my own thing. It's called Matcha Girl Summer, and it's about the it girl and matcha, and that's it. And it was just basically a creative campaign about how it's, you know, the matcha girl does it all. She's athletic, she's sporty, but she's also boss ass bitch working in a city. But then she's also ready for a girls' night with her friends. And it was a campaign showing how matcha can be involved in all 3 as a drink. And I really loved how those assets came out and really kind of showed my creativity as a marketer, but then also really highlighting my use of photography and videography as well. This leads me into month 5. In June, I had completed my first month at my part-time job, and I spent the whole month editing all the assets that I had shot in May. And I kept watching all of these videos, kept adding to a content calendar, really planning a whole rollout for all of these. And I also was trialing different queuing and scheduling platforms, really kind of just getting used to different softwares that marketers use. This was also the month that we had decided that we were going to start an agency. And that was because we had somebody reach out from one of our mock portfolio shoots saying that they were interested in paying us to do some sort of social media work for them. And that really brought the idea of like, oh, wow, could we do this as our jobs? Like, that would be absolutely crazy. And still today, I think it's absolutely crazy that we decided to do this, by the way, but might as well. I'm really just gonna try and figure it all out. And this was also the month that we both got our first independent contracts as consultants for another agency. Like I mentioned, that connection that we made in February or March really pulled through. She's a great friend and got us a part-time contract at pay-per-click agency. And that was really such an eye-opening experience to be able to do that work for her and get our first contract under our belts. It was so amazing, and it was really fun. So that brings me into our final month, month 6, July. In July, we started working on this contract with Daniel, who was our client at Pay-Per-Click, while also scouting new entertainment contracts that we wanted to be working on and actually led to be working on later that year. It's January 2026 while I'm filming this, but back when we went and like look back at this year, I really want to take back and think about, one, how hard we worked. We definitely worked a little too hard too. And, you know, again, like I said, making sure I have time and clarity for my brain to breathe was important. And also, you know, learning was a big part of this process. Just learning how to adapt in your day-to-day life, you know, stay sustainable off a part-time job while building a business is very difficult, but it's also been very rewarding when we see clients come in through the door and we're like, that's us, like we made that happen, has actually been insane. And that's how in 6 months, from February to July, we transformed our careers into whole new careers. At the end of it, we ended up starting an agency, which I keep saying because I actually just can't believe that we're doing this. And it was a completely different market than the one that I started in. Luckily, a lot of the fundamentals that Bex and I had really led us into this. But one big thing that I could take away from last year is that your job does not define you and your career does not define you. You shouldn't be fitting into a mold at work, or you shouldn't be feeling like, oh, is this gonna be the rest of my life? Because I'm genuinely so excited to tackle this adventure that is marketing, and who knows where it could go. But I'm so excited to look back at 2025 or in 2026 when I'm looking back at this and seeing all that we've accomplished just from what we've thought up in our brains. Thank you again so much for watching. This is going to be the first of a series, and our next video is going to be how I turned that mock portfolio that I mentioned into our first 3 signed clients at our agency, and how we really took that to the next level. Thank you so much. This is Focal Point Narrative, and I would love to see you again next month. Bye.